Good evening, YouTubers. Welcome to episode 48 of Shrigleytube TV. First of all, I'd say big thanks to everyone who made an effort to comment on the Jersey video and the one before. That was great. Thank you for your positive communication there. That was great. I really enjoyed it. Obviously a bit of a shame about the car, but it'll repair, no problem. Whether it'll repair in time for Brands Hatch at the end of the month, I don't know. I just thought I'll come into work. It's Saturday today. I got back yesterday. I've been on holiday in Skegness for 5 days or 4 days since we came back from Jersey. So I've got to look at the car, but I can't look at the car till I get some jobs out the door because the wheels have got to keep turning before we look at our own stuff. So hopefully by the end of the week I'll have made a decision as to whether we're going to go to Brands or not and repair the car. I'm really pleased with that small pin journal diameter 1120, and it's made me think more about the 1040 with the offset liners that you may remember. That's also got the small pins and the motorbike rods and pistons, so I'll do a bit on that. I haven't done anything today because I've realised that Shrigleytube depends on actual work going out the door to produce content to put on the videos. So I'm going to do something a bit different tonight where I'm going to do some voiceover and stuff. Hope you enjoy it. Another thing I wanted to say was thanks for many people who have been commenting personally to me and saying you're not a very good advert for yourself, Andy. And I do know what they're saying in that, you know, some of the stuff that I've put on regarding crashing the car and doing silly things, etc. But at the end of the day, I think it's more important not to wing it and to be straight with the channel and just put on what happens, because people always suss out what you're up to anyway. So, you know, I'd rather we just come clean and say, you know, things didn't work out quite as well as they should have done, but we'll go back and try again. So hope you enjoyed tonight's video. I look forward to seeing you all next Sunday at 7. Bye for now. Okay chaps, hope you enjoy this video. It's a video that was shown to me all the way back in 1999 by my friend Bob Jones. He had recorded it off the television in 1984. It's a film all about the Cosworth development program with the BDA Turbo and eventually into the Cosworth V6 turbocharged engine did for the Formula 1 season. So absolutely stunning. This is where some really clever people, there's lots to be learned from this video. I've watched it lots and lots of times and I enjoy it every time.
This is a road car turbocharger, but the principle is the same when applied to a race engine. The power of any engine is limited by the amount of air it can breathe in. A turbocharger uses energy from the hot exhaust gas, which is otherwise wasted, to power a compressor. This simply pumps compressed air into the engine, producing more power. The turbo itself consists of a gas turbine connected directly to a compressor by this shaft. The exhaust gas spins the turbine and forces the compressor to pump more air. The more air, the more exhaust gas, and the more exhaust, the more air. Theoretically, a runaway spiral of explosive power. Keith Duckworth.
I think that in any racing engine, the nearer you are to it disintegrating, in general, the better its performance will be.
To combat this excessive turbo power from such small engines, ever-decreasing fuel limitations have been imposed on the teams. So it's for fuel economy that engine management electronics have become crucial.
As soon as you get onto economy, you can't afford to throw fuel in for cooling. Therefore, you have to try and put in exactly the right amount of fuel. Then, if you have any failure or on your engine management system to provide that right amount of fuel, and it goes marginally weak from the weak position that you're already trying to run for economy, you can melt your turbine in a second or melt a valve or a piston and you're out of the race. As can be seen fairly regularly.
Turbocharged racing engines can be developed in two ways. Start from scratch, or like Renault, take a ready-made engine block and alter it until it delivers the necessary output. Anything from 700 to 1,000 brake horsepower. Whether developed from an off-the-shelf design or built from scratch, There are two basic engine configurations, the V6 engine and the inline or straight four. The numbers refer to the number of cylinders or pistons, and the word straight or V refers to the arrangement of the cylinders or the pistons in relation to the crankshaft. This is an end view of a straight four. The Italian Ferrari, the French Renault, the German Porsche, the Italian Moto Moderne, and the Japanese Honda are all V6s with overlapping throws onto the crankshaft. This is the end view of the Honda V6. The German BMW and the British Hart engines are straight four units. BMW have been particularly successful with this neat, if rather asymmetric, engine layout. But the engine is only part of the story. Tucked into the car are the radiators for cooling the engine, intercoolers for the turbochargers, pipes, oil coolers, exhaust, and the red-hot turbochargers themselves. So it's the reduction in the size and complexity of all this, as well as the reduction in the size of the engine block, that is the main engineering challenge. Compactness and the fact that four-cylinder engines tend to be more economical than sixes finally led Duckworth to develop this aging four-cylinder sports car engine. It's autumn 1984. Mike Cranifus and Walter Hayes have set November 1985 as the deadline for the delivery of a race-ready engine. By February, the four-cylinder prototype is on the dynamometer. The engine is conventional. Two pulleys at the top drive double overhead camshafts. The rest is just cobbled together for testing. The throttle linkage is operated from within the soundproof control room. Perhaps the only odd feature is the enormous silver plenum chamber alongside the engine. This plenum is where the boosted air is balanced before entering the engine. By making it big, Duckworth hopes to tune the air to match the outgoing exhaust pulses. For early testing, the exhaust is vented without passing it through a turbine. Boost air pressure is delivered to the engine from this yellow industrial compressor, connected to the test cell via a network of heavy-duty pipes. This method of boosting the engine removes the complexity of developing a turbocharger while allowing the designers to vary the air pressure. But as Duckworth admits, sooner or later this clumsy plumbing must be miniaturized and installed in a racing car. Today, the compressed air is 2 bar, about 28 pounds per square inch, the pressure of an ordinary car tire. Using strategically placed sensors, the tedious business of engine mapping begins. The hand on the throttle belongs to Chief Test Engineer Alan Morris.
25.45, 3.8, 86, 7, 17, 4.92. Boost. Oh, 10,000.
That's revolutions per minute. Mapping, as the word suggests, is the business of recording coordinates, all the data, input and output, at all engine speeds and loads.
4.5. Right. 25.15.
That's engine load.
4.3.
That's blow-by, air escaping past the piston.
9.
Exhaust pressure.
21.
Intake temperature.
4.92.
4.92 are the milliseconds the fuel droplets take to spread into the cylinder before igniting.
Right, 10,500 coming up.
In its original unboosted form, this modest four-cylinder engine was limited to speeds of 10,500 revolutions a minute. Beyond this is unknown territory.
Right, okay, 4.5. 23.05, 4.5, 95, 9, 23. 4.74. I'll tell you up to 11,000. 11,000. 4.5. 22.65, 4.4, 95.
We've had an accident. Did the blow-by go?
No, it's not moved. They're lining them out.
A fibre optic endoscope probes the cylinders as Alan Morris measures the pulleys on the silent engine.
Yeah, you got the centre there, look. That. The difference between there and there, look.
Well, just turn the engine round.
Oh, we can't, that's the problem. It's a little bit tight.
Oh.
The cam drive belt has jumped one notch out of alignment. It's the first outward sign of a catastrophic failure, now confirmed by the probing of Paul Ray.
I think the piston's hard up against the valve, so...
Yeah. But it looks like the inlet and the exhaust are crossing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You have a quick look. No, it's not interesting. Go on, have a look.
Yeah. We take it off.
Right.
2 hours later, the engine is in the workshop. Off comes the cam cover. For Paul Skelton, this is the start of the routine, absolutely methodical process of damage analysis. A mechanical post-mortem. To avoid distortion, even on a damaged engine, the bolts must be released in a set order. As the cylinder head and plenum chamber come off, the damaged piston is revealed. The earlier analysis by endoscope was correct. The valves have hit the piston. But so far, there are no clues why.
We've got that much squeeze with down. Try the rock broke. Mind his feet.
The exhaust and inlet valves have definitely hit the piston or crossed over. But this can be caused by many things at high engine speeds. General Manager of Engineering Dick Scammell is uncharacteristically nervous about such a dramatic failure so soon.
I mean, because the piston's been hitting the head, hasn't it? I mean, it's been thumping on the head quite a long time, because it formed the piston into the combustion chamber.
Scammell knows BMW have achieved remarkable reliability and power with their 4-cylinder engine. The next clue is in the oil. Tiny metal fragments clatter into the drip tray. The post-mortem continues on the gutted engine. Sinister dents in the temporary steel sump seem to suggest some kind of internal explosion. An overwhelming atmosphere of depression creeps in. To Chief Development Engineer Martin Walters, it looks bad.
Lost it again.
Even now, the crankshaft refuses to turn, as quite large chunks of big end bearing begin to turn out. What they don't know at this stage is that the entire engine block has changed shape, seizing the internal components.
I am puzzled why we can't turn the engine. This is part of the rod. Just having a look to see if I can find the 2 bolts. One.
The scattered and broken pieces begin to come together to form a picture of a much larger disease. This little cup of scrap metal is all that remains of the big end bearing, symptoms of an endemic weakness in the engine design.
The problem is there isn't as much heat as I think you normally see when you just lose a bearing. It's only come up about this far now. It normally tends to get a bit hotter. That may be that a bolt broke first.
Excessive heat due to lubrication failure makes steel turn blue.
Just hammered its way out through the edge.
With no obvious discoloration, the search for the cause moves away from lubrication failure to metal fatigue.
Practically stretching, doesn't it? Don't you think?
Yes, that's been stretched.
Stretch.
So what started the failure?
The bearing going, but why the bearing
Well, then,
went? Why the
there's not
bearing
enough
went?
heat in that bearing, is there?
Oh yeah, quite a few.
The first lesson that the Cosworth engineers are learning is that even a familiar engine, when it's turbocharged, can fail in mysterious and catastrophic ways.
Done quite a lot with it actually, because that's out of the pump, isn't it? That's how that's bearing, isn't it?
But can't get in the pump though, can it? Because you've got to go through the...
News of the explosion has reached Jeff Goddard, chief racing engine designer.
What do you think went first? Just bolt failure, wasn't it?
I don't know, because it's something odd, because you can't sound the crack.
Goddard, an expert on metal fatigue, has never been happy with the plan to turbocharge this old 4-cylinder engine block. As the pistons are forced out one by one, it becomes clear that a massive explosion has occurred. What's worse is that it all happened well below race boost pressures. The omens are not good. 5 more 4-cylinder engines fail in the next 3 weeks. Eventually, the cause is traced to incurable vibration at the crankshaft. They are little over a year away from the first scheduled in-car test, and back where they started, without an engine.
Yes, it's still the same.
Through there and up here, isn't it?
It's just got less on the shaft rotating with you. Piston ring seals, we are on piston rings. I talked to Doties, they haven't got anything.
They haven't, that seal doesn't work.
400 psi, forget it. 15 is a max.
Towards the end of 1984, the atmosphere of gloom over the failure of the 4-cylinder engine is replaced by optimism. Funding for the design of a completely new engine has been agreed. It will be a Ferrari-like V6.
The end needs
Keith Duckworth.
The choice of a V6 is on the basis that most people are using V6s who are successful, and that therefore, whichever way the rules go, we feel that they will be to suit V6s. The 120-degree V6 does allow you to fit 2 standard turbochargers in the conventional position, one on each side of the engine, and therefore you can in fact join the rest of them in the now established situation. And then
Duckworth has always believed that turbo energy is wasted merely pumping air. Eventually, he intends to take a drive off one large centrally mounted turbo and feed it back into the engine. It's the revival of a pre-war idea known as compounding.
Proceed with the compounded setup. The additional point is that as we have not got a team sorted out with whose engineers we can discuss the layout of the car, and the amount of intercooling that you need for the compounded layout and the weight and the whole complexity of it means that an awful lot of discussion with a team would have to take place. Whereas if we in practice make a standardish looking V6 with the twin turbo layouts, then we know enough about car design and the intercooling requirements, and it's sufficiently near the normal swing of things that we should have a very good chance, even if a team isn't selected till late on.
The choice of which team will have the new engine is a problem for Ford to solve. For now, Duckworth's designs are in the hands of men whose craft would have been recognized by the great engineers Brunel, Telford and Stevenson. This is the Zeus Pattern and Tool Company in Birmingham. Here, flat blueprints are turned by skillful carving into 3-dimensional wooden formers from which molds can be made. Seasoned Brazilian mahogany is chiseled, honed and polished until the grain is as smooth as steel. This is the crankcase end, and this will be the pattern for the main engine block. Several hundred Formula One engines do not warrant an investment in computer-aided design. All that's needed is a calculator, a notebook, and 2 centuries of engineering know-how.
He should have gone behind the flange.
It's a draftsman's error, isn't it?
Well, that's who we're blind. It's only, we were already from the 15. It's only how many going to pinch it. If I pinch another 5, we should have 20 because that's we're 50.
Even at this stage, flexibility is crucial. Long and painstaking discussions tease out the best way to solve minor design difficulties.
Taking the corner out of this one and then going down.
I've got to get to the other side of the flange.
That's right. That one, so that side's accommodated for you, isn't it? Ryan's already put that right in the drawing.
Yes, yeah, it's a good job I noticed that. The shape of the 2 degrees out from the
That's
print.
right, we've got it on this side. We've got loose pieces on this side.
Just one loose piece on the... but that... I don't get none of that in the box. That's only past the flange.
That's right.
Within hours of the pattern being finished, the first cylinder head has been cast in its silicate sand mould at a foundry in Worcester. The valuable sand is broken away and recycled to be packed again and again around the mahogany former. For Formula One, this rough lump of cast aluminium marks a rare event. The birth of a completely new engine. This casting will never be used. Instead, it will be sliced and analysed to check its strength. Chicago-based Beatrice is a huge American trading company. In February 1985, at the highest level, Ford and Beatrice do a deal. The result is an aerospace quality engineering company on a windy industrial estate near Heathrow.
Yeah, the engine's going to tie up with that very nicely.
Yes, the electronics will be the last sort of thing in the file.
Yeah. When will we get an actual engine as a lump, the metal part, rather than the...
It will build a racing car exclusively for the new engine.
3 weeks.
The other car...
The first driver is to be ex-world champion Alan Jones.
Yeah.
There's too much of an angle that way.
Yeah.
And it's too much of a load on your wrist.
Yeah,
if you're turning, if it's on an angle that way, well then the wrist has to go like that, and it's putting a strain on it. Whereas if the wheel is more up and down, and then it's just a straight movement with your elbows.
Otherwise, if you're really up there, you're riding like a London bus.
Absolutely,
yes.
and you're putting
right
unnecessary work on your wrists. Yeah. Whereas if it's more upright, you do it with your arms. So that's...
John Baldwin is the chief designer.
You haven't got any problems with that on the
No,
news?
that's okay now.
Because that is higher than the other car.
Yeah, no, that's fine. And if I was to go back further, it would make that even better.
Yeah, because we've now got the shape of your back anyway, so what we can do is actually design your seat, the start of your seat, instead of doing it the old way. So I can block up, so we can put this shape into the car and then start to foam and make the seat to fit you. And you've broken
Detachable steering wheel.
It's only there for
another one I've broken.
Within weeks, the first aluminium castings are ready for machining. This 120-degree V6 block is turned upside down so that the crankshaft can be eased in.
If you're not careful with it, it's going to hit the side of the block and could cause, you know, quite a bit of damage to it. So you have to be very careful whilst you're dropping it in.
Because of Duckworth's obsession with structural strength, the engine is not easy to put together, and there are many tricks to learn.
And they've got locating pins at the bottom as well. You've got to try to feel your way until they fit.
After every race, each engine will have to be rebuilt. A year from now, Alan Eldridge will probably be able to do this blindfold.
I think that's about it.
Now, special blocks are temporarily fitted to the crankcase studs. The studs take short bars, which can be expanded with a spanner. This spreads the engine block by a few millimeters to allow the bearing cap to slip down and bear on the crankshaft. These bearings do two jobs. They hold the crankshaft, spinning up to 12,000 revolutions a minute, and they act as strong bridges or buttresses joining both sides of the engine block. Before the expandable bars are removed, the bearing caps are bolted down. The process of spreading the block is repeated for all four bearing caps. Now the pistons. 3 in each bank of cylinders. A special cup helps Eldridge slip them into the bores. These pistons are made in Germany, but once the engine is proved, Cosworth will manufacture their own. The pistons are very special. Hollow galleries in the top or the crown circulate high-pressure oil. The oil will be injected as the piston descends in the bore. In effect, the pistons are oil-cooled. But this first drop of oil is just to help put the engine together. The crankshaft is turned. This is one of 6 big end bearings. These are the bolts that failed on the old 4-cylinder engine when the bearing seized. They will have to cope with hundreds of tons during a Grand Prix. These seals sit on the cylinder bores. In this engine, the bores, like gun barrels, are separate tubes known as liners. For simplicity, oil for the separate cylinder head is forced through external steel tubes. Cylinder head bolts are angled, a typical Cosworth answer to a tricky problem.
The original reason why we angled our head bolts was to allow you to have them coming through the head and yet missing the cam shafts, because the most convenient position is in the same line, and that is what caused a lot of engines to have to be separated with the head bolts below and a separate cam carrier. Allied to that one, we then were looking at liner situations and the best way of making a head joint and liner. And I devised a scheme of a liner which the head was nominally clamped on top of the liners and the liner split was fairly low down. But then the stiffness of the top of the liner and its support was not adequate. And therefore, the angle bolt puts in a component squeezing the two sides of the block together, and therefore will tie and increase the stiffness at the top of the bore where the gas pressure is the highest.
Weighing about 100 kilograms, the first engine is complete. But another, potentially more powerful engine is still proving difficult to finish. American Frank Rayo from Motorola and British electronics engineer Steve Taylor are still hunting the bugs from the prototype engine management computer.
This is called eliminate all the noise you possibly can so the engine runs.
The engine runs, full stop.
And when it gets back...
Hang on, Frank, you got a short back.
See, it shorts out, huh?
Yep.
That's the one.
It's on one on that line there. One of those is not the right one. Got it, right.
Yeah, we've done so much to the circuitry and software.
Yeah, but I just want to prove it, all right? I want to put it back to its original mounting.
Okay, check the grounds now.
It's 4 in the morning. They've been working for 18 hours, only to discover what many other Formula One engineers already know, that electromagnetic pulses from the engine play havoc with the delicate memory circuits in the microprocessor.
These are all tied to ground now. Pin 5.
Yeah.
10.
Check.
See, there's a piece of solder in here.
This painstaking detective work is the only way to hunt down rogue signals.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 17, 20, 24, 25, 7, 28.
You've done 27.
25.
Yeah, well, 27 here should be VSS minus.
27, 28.
You've done that.
Okay. How about this one?
Yeah, but that's the one you said we were shorting out on.
Here, let's verify that. It could be 29.
Ah, it should be open.
Hold your meter on that. I could find out which one it is.
No,
not change?
No. 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 No.
I see right away. It's amazing how.
Yeah.
There it is right there. 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Oh, 30 is a ground.
Oh, why is it pulling supply down?
It was open. We tied a V-band to it on one case.
Good.
Okay, so that's all set. We have a big ground path. All those paths are just set up grounded, right?
Yes. No, it's ignition diagnostics.
IDM. We're not using it.
Right.
Okay, so when you're at engine per, we appreciate all these kludges.
Make sure you haven't grounded anything on the way. We're looking good, Frank.
Good. The final test is running this piece of wire to case ground.
Is that the last one?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Looks like you're buying the beers tonight then.
Okay, no problem.
Known as a tub because the driver sits in it as if in a bath, this main part of the racing car is a composite made from carbon fibre. Formula One engineers are world leaders in the use of this strong, ultralight aerospace technology. The two halves of the tub are bonded together. This steel jig will hold the two halves in place until the bond has set. Perhaps the first driver owing his life to carbon fibre was Britain's John Watson. After this 150-mile-an-hour crash at the 1981 Italian Grand Prix, he climbed from his McLaren's composite tub without a scratch. Peter Turland built that tub for Watson.
The bond takes about 3/4 an hour to go off.
This tub is for Jones.
You can't,
but the engine is still so secret, even he isn't sure of the specification.
there's an engine plate on the top which lays along at the angle of the engine, which is probably 45 degrees, or I think it's 45 degrees on this one. I'm not quite sure, actually. And then it's hooked to those 2 points there, like that one and that one.
The V6 Turbo is on the dynamometer in Northampton. Frank Rayo arrives with his engine management black box.
You want boost also?
Yes, stick boost.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, there's reference. Oh, maybe I'm on the wrong.
Steve Taylor and Ford software expert Jim Coates from the States set up the monitors.
Okay, it's that one. That's our spout line. That's on the current probe as well. Right. Good.
Steve?
Yeah.
Is this timing light still flashing?
Initially, yes please, just to verify.
How do you want to set these up when we put an injection up at the top here?
Yeah, start with injection from the top.
Pair of headphones.
Yeah.
Okay, so
on the dyno, this is the most likely place for that to happen too.
From Ford electronic engine development in the States, Bob Stelmazak has watched over the program for a year.
Right.
Now the final minutes tick by.
Yeah.
Right, that's it, we're ready.
Can you look after that for
Oh,
me?
certainly, I'd be more than happy to.
Because the engine map is incomplete, these two manual controls will override the computer. The left-hand dial controls spark advance, the right controls the fuel injector pulse width. Exactly 20 years ago, Duckworth's legendary DFV engine was fired up on this same dynamometer. The new turbo seems reluctant to follow.
Go. Reset.
Just see if she'll
Yeah, let's see if we can clean it out before we hit it.
For a moment, there's confusion. Stelmazak asks whether he should expand or reduce the fuel pulse.
If they have a check for them, what? Here you go, here you go. Tell what you got. We should find out what the pulse width is in this state it's running in to find out if we're... Yeah, I mean, I got to find out what pulse width we're at to know what the mix ought to be. Yeah. I can't see it from here. Can you guys get any idea?
What division you're at? Let's say about 1 division, whatever it is. 1 millisecond.
Are we tricking anything out there, like engine cooling or anything that's not picking up an appropriate signal?
No, it shouldn't.
For Stelmazak, this first encounter with the frustration of Formula One technology is infuriating. Back in the States, his boss, Mike Cranifus, will want good news. Right now, there isn't any.
No. We have to find out what we're doing. This isn't going well.